It's no secret that Filipinos love to eat. The infinite number of restaurants we see everywhere is a testament to our addiction to good food. Eric D., the managing director of Foodie Global Concepts, which established great restaurants like the Todd English Food Hall, Tim Ho Wan, Mesa, and more, views today's restaurant industry as nothing short of competitive.
Restaurants are opening on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, but there's also restaurants that close on a daily basis. But in general, I think the consumers are benefiting from the industry. Everyone's competing to have the best quality. Everyone's competing to offer it at the least price.
The D family entered the restaurant industry 30 years ago from a single store, and they expanded into food courts and eventually established their own restaurants.
My grandfather was actually into lumber, but then my father felt that that's not the right business for him, so he started the business on his own with his first restaurant. Like I said, my father was the waiter, my mother was the cashier. I was running around the restaurant, kind of hanging out with all the staff. And they say the rest is history. When we met Henry C., my parents met Henry C., who loved the restaurant and asked us to open up restaurants in their malls. During that time, it was still the first SM North EDSA. So now SM has 57 malls, if I'm not mistaken, and we have about 2 to 3 stores in each of their malls.
Growing up in a restaurant, Eric knew early on what he wanted to be.
I started when I was 13 years old. When I was 13 years old, I started working in the restaurants as a dishwasher, waiter. I worked in a McDonald's, I worked in a Jollibee. Also studied abroad. After graduating college, I was a general manager for an Italian restaurant chain in San Francisco. So I was handling 5 restaurants for them. After that, I moved to Kuala Lumpur, where I was the general manager for a hotel, and ever since really been working in F&B.
Eric started working for their family business, Foodie Global Concepts, in 2009.
So my father and I, about 7 years ago, started La Mesa Grill, which is in Mall of Asia, and then we expanded into the brand called Mesa. So by the end of this year, we will already have about 32 stores for Mesa, and our first US store next year.
Admittedly, Eric had a rough start while working with his father.
And I think in every typical family business you enter, it will always be, just because you'll have the patriarch of the family, which is the father, who's in a Chinese household, is whatever he says is the rule. But in our case, that's the reason why I also worked outside of the family business. Being able to handle a multi-million-dollar business overseas, not our own, has kind of proven me to be able to handle a larger scale business and kind of like have him trust me.
With Eric's vision for global competitiveness, their company was able to bring in the first celebrity chef restaurant in the Philippines.
So when we decided to bring in the Todd English Food Hall 2 years ago, it was such a big project. So that's a 900 square meter space, 250 seating capacity. It was the first celebrity chef restaurant in the country. It was also the first concept of its kind. It's our first foray into foreign brands. We were unsure about the market. But I think when we opened, it was just the perfect timing. After that, everyone started bringing in international brands. People became more aware about food. I think Filipinos in general are a little bit more sophisticated when it comes to dining.
From being a 13-year-old dishwasher to the present managing director of Foodie Global Concepts, Eric truly has come a long way. He manages several of their company's restaurants and is planning to open more very soon.
For me now, food is my entire world at the moment. So we have a few projects that we're doing this year. We're opening 14 restaurants this year. So all the focus is really into growing the business and growing the brands.
Aside from teaching him the ins and outs of the business, Eric's family has also taught him important values.
Well, my father always told me to be prudent and frugal, to save for a rainy day, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Typical sayings that a Chinese family would have. You know, I think the Chinese culture is really looking into extending the family, you know, going through generations and making sure that wealth is passed on from generation to generation, and the business actually excels from generation to generation. So it's my job to make sure that we continue doing this, and my son handles the business well, and making sure that, you know, we leave a legacy. Hi, my name is Eric D. Lee Wei Ching, and I'm proud to be Chinoy.